It's my favorite time of the year. College football is ready to kick off, and the hype coming out of Happy Valley is as high as I can remember in many years. We're going to cover it right now with the voice of the Nittany Lions, Steve Jones. Steve, welcome back to Philly Pressbox Radio. How you doing?
Steve, great to see you.
Great to see you too, Chet.
Oh, man, this is the first time we've had you on in 3 years. I don't know why it's taken us that long, but great to see you. Bill said he loves this time of year. I know you do as well. I know preseason polls don't really mean anything, but hey, with the Nittany Lions ranked number 2 or number 3 in those aforementioned polls, what is the mood out in Happy Valley, Steve?
Look, for the team, it's business. I mean, it's really been a business-like team with a lot of competition in practice. Polls don't mean anything to them because they know they have to go out and they have to play the games. That's the bottom line. So they've gone about their business. The emotion has been on the competitive side, not on the ranking side, because the polls mean this. They're very simple what they mean. They mean promotion of games. Like this weekend, number 11 Iowa State plays number 19 Kansas State. So it does a great job of promoting college football. But when it comes to a 12-team playoff, the first one on November 4th is the only one that counts because that's the only poll that means anything.
Yeah. Hey, Steve, it seems like over the years, Penn State's had some really good skilled players, and maybe the offensive line wasn't so good. Then they'd have some good linemen, and maybe we're a little behind in the skilled players. It seems like it's all come together now, and they are loaded on the offensive side and have Andy Kotelnicki back as the OC.
Well, having Andy Kotelnicki back for a second year, Bill, is a big deal because there's continuity between he and Drew Aller. Aller has an idea of exactly what Andy wants to do and why. And not only that, Andy has, I think, 3 reliable wide receivers that they brought in Kyron Hudson, Trevor Pena, and also Devontae Ross to go with existing guys there like Liam Clifford. They've added in Kobe Howard, a true freshman, I think is going to play. So I think they've got a lot of creativity with that offense. And when you have an offensive coordinator there that's back for a second year, you can't put a price on the continuity. Also, you can't put a price on the fact that Jim Knowles came in. Because Jim Knowles came in, and it's not just, he's taking over the defense. He can tell Andy and Drew, okay, when we played you last year, this is why we defended you and how we defended you. And Drew, this is what we saw as pluses that worried us. And this is what we thought were going to be pluses for us against you. So you get that kind of feedback from that kind of mind. It's going to help not just the defense, but it helps the offense.
Well, speaking of Drew Aller, the quarterback, 6'5", 235 pounds, 52 touchdowns so far during his career at Penn State. What makes him one of the top pro prospects in college football?
29 starts in his career, Chet. Let's start with that. You can't put a price on a guy where the game is slowed down for him. Everything is under control for him right now. He throws the ball really well, and he makes all the throws. He can drop the ball in the bucket. He can put it on a dime and a play over the middle. He can throw the deep ball. An area where he's really improved, as far as I'm concerned, Chet, has been the area in the 3 to 5 foot circle. They're able to move around just enough, buy a little bit of time, they make the play. And then if he takes off and runs, he can get yards and make plays because his straight ahead speed is really, really good. There was a play he made in tonight's practice, very similar, because Jack Ham and I were at tonight's practice, where he took off up the middle and he gained 20 yards in the play. Because that's judgment and the fact he now has enough athleticism to make a play like that.
Hey, Steve, the offensive line, Nick Dawkins, Nolan Rucci, Drew Shelton from Downingtown, down closer to us, all seniors, all returning starters. How good's this offensive line going to be?
Could be the best they've had here since 2008, maybe, Bill, because Venga Ioane is going to be one of the top guards in the country. And they've taken Anthony Donko, who had been the right tackle last year, starting at right tackle, and they moved him back to his original position, which is right guard. And the reason they could do that is because Rucci was so good. And that made such a big difference. Because that gives you 5 returning starters on the offensive line. Plus, Javen Williams can play 4 positions. Cooper Cousins can play 3 positions. And T.J. Shanahan is the transfer from Texas A&M. So they've got 8 guys in that offensive line that they can go to at any time. And that's what you need today, guys. The bottom line is this. You need to construct a football team in the preseason. And people will always ask me, what are you looking at in the preseason? I'm looking at, are there 50 guys, 50, are there 50 guys you can play in the fourth quarter? Because in college football, you need that to negotiate and navigate a 16 or 17 game season. You need that. And so when I look at the offensive line, I think you need 8 of them. I think you need 3 tight ends, 7 wide receivers, 4 running backs, 1.5 quarterbacks. I think you need 5 defensive ends, 5 defensive tackles. I think you need 10 in the secondary and 6 linebackers. And I think Penn State has almost all of that right now. Because Penn State, it's not just rotating a guy in the second quarter to keep that guy fresh in the fourth. No, they're playing these guys early in the fourth quarter to keep guys fresh late in the fourth quarter. And I think they've got those 50 guys that I'm talking about.
Well, Steve, one of the team's strengths last year was the D line, thanks in large part to Abdul Carter. He, of course, is now a New York Giant, which Eagles fans are not happy about, but hey, that's life. But 3 other key guys, I guess, are returning. So will the defensive line again be one of their strengths, one of the best in the Big Ten?
Abdul Carter is a Giant because the Eagles are really good. Okay, just so you understand. You're the 3rd overall pick because the team you're going to is not good. Okay?
Giants stink.
All right. So, Denai Dennis Sutton is a major leaguer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got all the ingredients that you look for in a first-round NFL draft pick. Zane Durant has all the ingredients of a first and second round pick at defensive tackle. He's one of the better ones in the entire country. Now you're going to add in a couple of other guys that get there. Chaz Coleman has stepped in along with Jalen Harvey at defensive end. And Coleman's just a freshman, but he's built like a power forward, which is so impressive. And then, Alonzo Ford was playing really good football when he got hurt last year. And now he's going to get a chance to start at that other spot. But Xavier Gillingham is a guy that I think can play really well. They've got depth up front. That makes a big difference. But they got 2 major leaguers there in Durant and Denai Dennis Sutton.
Is Tony Rojas the next great linebacker guy, or is there somebody else up there that's going to be just as good?
Tony Rojas played last season banged up. Well, right after the season was over, after the Notre Dame game, it was taken care of. And Rojas has had an outstanding training camp. He has been excellent. And when you send out Rojas and Dominic DeLuca, you have 2 linebackers that know how to play. And that's a big part of it. The proper depth of a drop by a linebacker. That's how they get the interceptions in the SMU games. They were right in the spot they needed to be because they're both good at it. I think Amari Campbell is a big addition to this team. They got him from North Carolina. Billy had 6.5 sacks last year in North Carolina. And you watch how he times up a blitz as a linebacker. He scrapes off the edge, and he times it really well. So you can see why he's very effective there. And getting Campbell is a big plus because Campbell, I don't think people realize, actually has 2 years of eligibility remaining.
Steve, I got to ask you about this guy. The head coach, some people love James Franklin. Some people, well, not so much love. You know the numbers, 4-20 against top 10 teams, 1-15 against top 5 teams. Last January's heartbreaking semifinal loss to Notre Dame, giving the critics more fuel. So does Franklin need to win a national title to finally silence the critics?
He's been very relaxed. He's not feeling any, Jack and I were talking about that today. He's been relaxed. I think that kind of attitude he has projected goes to his team. I mean, except for Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and maybe Ryan Day, what's everybody else's record against the top 20? I mean, seriously, most coaches don't, and Penn State's lost some heartbreaking games. There's no question about that. It's you just take care of the present. And he's getting his team ready to play Nevada. At some point, they'll play Ohio State when they get there. We'll see what the 2 teams look like. But he is acting as if I think he's handled all the expectations as well as you can ask. He's gone about and said, okay, we're really good. Okay, now let's go out and prove it. And that's been his attitude. And I think he's handled it exactly the right way. He hasn't shied away from it. He hasn't sat there and went, okay, guys, and you're going to get tight about it. You get tight about stuff like that. It's one of the worst things I think any team can do is act like you have something to lose when you play. And you can tell right away when a team is acting like they have something to lose. And those teams lose every game when they do that because you can just see they're tentative and so forth. But if you're loose and free, you're not going to feel that way. And I think his team has been loose and free and businesslike all at the same time.
The offense loses Tyler Warren, who was just sensational. He's a freak. But they've had about 5 in a row of tight ends that are all playing on Sundays. Tight end I saw somebody else point out earlier in the week. Is there another great one on this club?
Yeah, I do think there is. And I think, believe it or not, I think Khalil Dinkins is going to be really, really good. But I think Luke Reynolds is the next real star at tight end. You saw some of Reynolds, especially late last year. And yes, he's the guy that made the 32-yard run on the fake punt in Minnesota. But Reynolds has tremendous hands. And I asked Ty Howell, the tight end coach, and said, well, okay, let's get into the part about blocking. It's one thing about catching the ball. And he said, Steve, he's a really willing blocker. He'll throw his nose in there. Dinkins is a really good all-around tight end. Excellent blocker, good receiver. And Andrew Rappelier gives him a third guy that can do all of that. They're not going to combine for 104 catches, which Tyler Warren gave you last year. They're also not going to play 9 positions like Tyler Warren did last year. Right. And I don't think any of them are going to snap the ball during a game like Tyler Warren did last year. But one of the reasons that they won't get 104 catches combined, Bill, is because the wide receivers are better. Right? And that's a big part of this because the wide receivers are better. They're going to have to prove it in games. You're not going to have 104 catches from your tight end. He was the best receiver they had. So because of that, they went to him more often than not. Now the tight end becomes an important supplement in the offense, but not the primary part of the offense. And I think the next star in that group is probably Luke Reynolds.
Okay, the wide receivers, Karan Hudson, Devontae Ross, and Trevor Pena. What do you like about the wide receivers?
Look, the 3 different types of guys. So let's start with Kyron Hudson from USC. Hudson fights for the ball. He'll make the tough catch for you. And that's what I really like about him. You know what? I need to make a play. You can throw it into a tight window, 50-50 ball. He's the guy more often than not that will come up with it. And he's a real leader. When Aller was out working in California at a passing camp, Hudson lives in Los Angeles. He drove over every day and worked out with him. That tells you how committed he is to doing this. Ross is a speed guy, quickness, off the line, good-looking picture of him right there. And he's a guy that can also return punts. So he gives them that dazzle on the outside. Then there's Trevor Pena from Syracuse, who caught 84 passes last year. The guy he reminds me of right away is Parker Washington. And he's that Parker Washington type of player that seems to get open, make catches in tight windows, has enough speed to get away from people. And I think those 3 give you a real balance because there are 3 different types of receivers out there. Now you're going to add in Liam Clifford being back. You're going to add in Kobe Howard, the true freshman, Tyseer Denmark. I think they've got 6 guys right away that upgrade a room. And we all know in the Orange Bowl, Penn State did not have a catch from a wide receiver. That is going to dramatically change with these 3 guys.
Well, Steve, I don't want to put you on the spot because that's not fair. I'm just going to say this. Do they have a chance with what you've seen of what they've got to run the table and be playing for this national championship?
I mean, look, they're really good and really good because I think when you have veterans, you understand the approach. Right? This is not a new road for them. They went to the national semifinals last year. They were 30 seconds away from going to the national championship game, and a lot of guys came back. Penn State is one of the top developmental programs in the country because roster retention is so important. So a Drew Aller, a Nick Singleton, a Katron Allen, a Nick Dawkins, a Benga Ioane, a Drew Shelton, a Denai Dennis Sutton, a Zakiya Wheatley, who's one of the top safeties in the country, a Zane Durant. They can look at younger players and inexperienced players and say, look, Northern Illinois got Notre Dame last year. We can't let a Northern Illinois beat us because they can tell them that. We were in a dogfight last year with Bowling Green in the 4th quarter. We can't afford to do that. We have to make Nevada as important as any game. Then you have to make Florida International. The fans have the luxury, and it's a great luxury, of jumping ahead to Oregon. The fans have a great luxury of jumping ahead to Ohio State. That's the fun of being a fan. Team can't do that. And you have to have veterans. It can't just be the head coach saying it all the time. You have to have veterans that convey it to them. And because they have those veterans, they'll have the ability to convey those important messages that allow you to go week by week on what is really a marathon journey.
Steve, can you hear me now?
I can. The depressing part for you is you can hear me.
Well, Steve, it is National Radio Day, so happy National Radio Day. And how long have you and Jack Ham been working together now?
This is our 26th season together. I was of the two of us, I was the first one that was hired, and he was hired a month later. And when Bud Tallman told me they were hiring Jack, I knew right away that we had a great opportunity to success. Jack is even better than I thought he was going to be. He sees everything. And that was the hallmark of a Hall of Fame career for him. You're talking about a linebacker in a non-passing era that had 32 interceptions in his career and had 53 takeaways in his career and a non-passing time in the history of the league. And that's because he was not only an excellent athlete, but he understood and saw the entire game. Well, as an analyst, he does the same thing. He sees the entire game. And no matter what people think of me, good, bad, indifferent, I'm exponentially better because I work with him. And what's really cool about him is that he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the College Football Hall of Fame. He has 4 Super Bowl rings, and he has absolutely zero ego. You can't put a price on a guy like that. And he's just one of the truly great, great friends I've had in my life. And he has done more for me than you could possibly ask.
That's awesome. One final question for me, Steve,
Sure,
from one of our Delaware County guys,
Okay.
Dan Connor, not a linebacker coach on the field. What have you seen from Dan? Does he have the intensity as a coach that he had as a player in high school and college and the NFL?
It's a great question and a timely question because Jack and I went over to watch the linebackers today, and Jack was talking to me about Dan as a linebacker coach. And you can see the intensity, the fire, but also the ability to demonstrate. He can still demonstrate at this stage of his life and career and show them how to do it, what angle to be at, why they're supposed to be over here and not over here, how to take a play and read it properly. He can do all of that. And it also frees up Jim Knowles to not coach a position. Andy Koltanicki, whom you brought up earlier, and Jim Knowles are positionless coordinators. They can go from whatever they want in the moment because Dan Connor's coaching the linebackers and Danny O'Brien's coaching the quarterbacks. And Dan Connor has made a tremendous difference in the linebackers. And if you talk to Tony Rojas and Dominic DeLuca, they swear by him.
And Steve, my final question, because it's National Radio Day, what do you remember about working with me at WMAJ in the 1980s?
Yeah, John Molesky, Jim Chesko, and I came out of WDFM on campus.
Yep.
And Chet and John absolutely stood out above everybody else in everything we did. No, in everything, seriously, in everything. The other guy was Jim Coles. Remember Colesy?
Yeah,
Coles,
sure.
Coles, he was really you 3 guys stood out about everybody else. And I knew that all 3 of you in one form or another would be tremendous successes in the business. Jim Coles worked at Channel 16 in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre for 3 decades. John Molesky's been working down in D.C. for decades, and you've been a great success at whatever you've done. The bottom line is we all had a great time doing it. We had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, and when it came time to be serious, everybody did their job. And it was always great for me because the influence was between Jim, Chet, and with John. They had such great professional attitudes and rubbed off on me and helped make me a better pro.
Checks in the mail, Steve. Thank you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Steve, I was wondering, here all these years later, you end up doing Penn State football. Chet ends up working with me. I don't know how. You definitely were the winner in that deal.
I'll make no comment about that because I don't want to hurt Bill's feelings.
Wrap it up, Bill.
All right, Steve. Well, we appreciate you coming by, and let's do it again, and let's go Penn State.
Hey, anytime you guys want. You guys do such a great job, and I always appreciate any time I'm asked.